to In Touch, Think STEAM Career Podcast. I am Dr. Ayo Olufade. How are you doing, sir? And
Hey, listen, I
I'm
always
going
say every day is a holiday. I can't complain.
Amen, amen. I understand that you're in the STEM field.
Correct.
So what do you do?
So yeah, so I do multiple different things, but I'll let you know what I do professionally, my 9 to 5,
Okay,
and I'll switch to what I do outside my 9 to 5, which is what I'm very passionate about.
okay.
So my 9 to 5, so pretty much I'm an Intel business development manager within SHI, which is a reseller of technology. SHI is big on STEM education. So one of the factors of my job is mainly has to do with I talk to school about the hardware. That's where the Intel come in, the hardware side, make sure they get the right computers, the right processing chip for their, I would say for the eSports slash STEM program. We assist with the curriculum piece. We have education specialists that can cater the education piece towards STEM, depending on the school or university. We also assist with getting you the space design, especially when it comes to esports. You need like a dedicated space for the kids to come and play and compete. Whether or not the space is multi-purpose, where they come in to do STEM or whatever specific for them to do some coursework, and then in the afternoon or after school they get into the gaming where they compete or training for competition. And then the last thing we do is assist and do as well is assist with getting the funding, because internally we have a grant team that help cater the grant that you write to get the right amount of funding. So this is what I do. I attend a lot of conferences. Recently I was in ISTE in Philadelphia. I live in Philly, but ISTE was like the largest education conference in the country. Attended that. I was in Philadelphia for 4 days. So we had our own booth and everything, including with Microsoft was there, HP in our booth, and as well as LG. So that's the professional side of things. On my personal is where I get more passionate, because something I'm from Haiti originally, born and raised, grew up in Brooklyn, Queens, the inner cities there, and then finally moved to the suburbs where I went to Temple and so on and so forth. So on my personal, here's what I do. I create a clothing brand that funds STEM education to underserved communities. So that's what I'm passionate about. The aesthetics of the clothes itself, the imaging when it comes to certain shirts that we create, those are what we call graphic tees. The aesthetics tend to show the beauty of the inner city on it, but the main focus is funding STEM education. Recently, I was in Brazil delivering computers to the favelas within Brazil, because I work with those nonprofit organizations that focus on STEM. A lot of times they need computers. That's where I come in. The money goes towards the computers. And actually now I'm going to South Africa, looking to do the same thing in South Africa. So I'm pretty much wherever they have. So my focus is wherever they have the infrastructure. South Africa, they have the infrastructure. Jamaica and other places, they have the infrastructure. The computer tends to be the most expensive thing. As long the nonprofit organization is STEM focused, they have a curriculum in place. They're teaching coding and things like that can be life changing to their life. I work with them to get them funding, and that's what I do on my personal. Hopefully that answers your question.
Yeah, actually, it did. Excellent. Wow, you're doing a lot. That's very impressive. I'm very impressed. Well done. How can I help you? Is it in terms of my
Well,
podcast? Is it bringing illumination to what you do? Or
so
go ahead,
yeah,
please.
so he didn't, I have an idea of what you do, but I don't know fully. If you can give me a little synopsis of your role and what you do, and then from there I can go ahead and tell you where, or if you can even connect me to certain type of people or work with you or so on and so forth.
Okay. Yeah, yeah. So I am, of course, I have a podcast. So the name of my podcast is called STEAMSparks, Think STEAM Career Podcast. My job is to try to bring awareness to what is happening in the world of STEAM.
Okay.
And you will be a great candidate because of what you're doing. And I'm looking for people in our community. And my target, of course, is the BIPOC community. I'm looking for people like you who are doing great things so that I can share it with the people in our community so that they can be part of the innovation that is taking place. We need to build those numbers up in terms of our people's participation in the STEAM field and STEAM education. So my hope is people in our community seeing what you're doing. So this will help inspire. Now let's step back a little bit and let's make sure that we talk about why, what is really my motivation behind all of this. My motivation behind all of this is I do believe that our community not participating is because our community probably don't know what's going on in STEAM and how it affects their lives. And probably a lot of young people, all they see is basketball player, people in sports. There's nothing that, don't get me wrong, there's nothing wrong with that.
Correct. No, you're just
But
speaking my language. It's crazy. These are
yeah,
talking points that I have, but that's why I laugh because
so
I'm like, whoa, this guy, he's speaking my language. But continue.
our representation is as low now as 30 years ago. And data and research have shown the numbers have not really changed much. It's been the same place for over 30 years. And the outreach has been, there's less outreach like there used to be when we were in the 90s. In the 90s, in the 80s, in the 90s, there was more outreach, but now less outreach. But now they're starting to begin. So now we're starting to see an increase in the outreach to the underserved and underrepresented community. So that is one of the reasons why I'm doing what I'm doing. So I'm taking it one step at a time. So starting with the podcast, inviting people like you and even people that are different, doing something in our community and talking with them and so that everybody can see. For example, now you're going to talk about your clothing companies, right? And so you use your clothing company to design or to produce and generate those clothing and to design or to produce and generate those clothing, there has to be some skills behind this. All right. A lot of the skills that you use in the designing, right, some of the skills that you probably learn in the STEAM fields, right? So you're putting it together to build this company. But it's not good enough to just say, okay, STEAM. One of the things we have to do is also teach people within our community. At the end of the day, remember, we're trying to win hearts, and we have to teach them how to make money, right? They
Correct.
see a successful person like you who has a for-profit clothing company that literally is now using its platform to get donation as it pertains to computers and donating it to developing world. Of course, you're making money through your profits, right? Through your profit company, right? But you're also getting health donation from other companies in order to provide for students or children in underdeveloped country so I think that teaching, how do we teach the young ones? We'll teach them by having people like you come and talk, right? And people like you, and they watch people like you doing successful stuff. Now that start building an image within their mind that, oh, I can do this. The sky's the limit. At least that's the hope. So that's where I'm coming from. That's what I do at this point. Did I
Okay.
answer the question?
Yes. So to answer your question, as far as like how you can assist, so yeah, attend your podcast will be a big moving point, and as well because what I'm trying to create is based, like you said, a lot of kids they want to be entertainers, basketball players, rappers, football players, which I call these are lottery careers, right? It's like it's 0.001% of people actually make it, and majority of them don't even make it to the point of fame. And
True.
every kids do not know that, hey, listen, you can still have a promising career. You can still be highly successful in the world of STEAM or STEM, right? But as you stated, they don't know, right? They do not know. They don't know that exists. They don't know that opportunity exists, right? And that's where I'm sure my goal is to create this community, this movement. That's the reason the clothing, I choose clothing because fashion is something big, especially in the African American community, right?
Absolutely. Yes.
So fashion is something too. So I want something that people can relate to. Fashion, stylish clothing, and the clothing looks cool. The name is cool. Everything. The name is Favela Boys. That's the name of it. Favela. Favela means inner city in Portuguese.
Hmm.
So the whole concept, as I stated earlier, is showing inner cities. The aesthetics is showing the beauty in the city. So a good example would be, I remember growing up when I was in Brooklyn, we didn't have the pool, so we had the fire hydrant. That's what we have turned on in the summertime, and everybody, all the kids are in the fire hydrant to cool down. Right? To me, I find that there's a beauty in that, right? Or when, especially in New York, where when you're in the subway, they dance. You see the people doing break dancing within the inside the subway. There's a beauty in that, right? All these things, there's a beauty is being able to capture that, right? So I'm able to capture that through clothing, from especially from on our graphic tees, able to that tell a story, and the story is showing the beauty in the city, not just in New York, but also in Brazil, also in Nigeria, in other places, right? It's all about showing that your beauty at the same time funding STEM education. Pretty much is a full purpose. We come back all around full purpose, showing the beauty at the same time, funding education, STEM education specifically.
Absolutely. I totally
Yes.
agree. So it'll
So,
be great. So it will be great to have you. So what I will do is definitely I'll come up with a synopsis, and then we can plan on when we can meet,
okay.
so that we can do the podcast. So the only thing is I'm going to share also with you a memorandum of understanding in regards to, because this podcast that I do is a company, and because it is a company, we utilize those information for various things. If you're okay with it, so then we're good to go. But I think one of the value for you is that I post the podcast in the various mediums that I use, which is LinkedIn, YouTube, Facebook, Buzzsprout, Amazon, Spotify. So there are different videos where those information are going to be posted. So the other thing is, I also use this information from our conversation to write an article, to write posting, and I'm working on a book right now. So in order to use that as provide it as a resource for other people in STEM field and STEM education. So the whole idea is, my job, my vision is to provide as much information to people in this space in the BIPOC community. Hopefully that will make a difference in increasing those numbers. So if you
Yeah.
all, yeah, if you're okay with that, so I'm good to go.
Hey, listen, I'm 100% okay with that.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
I have no word. Actually, it's a plus to me rather
Okay.
than
Absolutely.
it's a plus because the goal, we have the same goal, right? It's
Absolutely.
not. It's really, especially in Africa,
Yeah.
especially in Africa.
Yeah.
I feel like
I'm
it's
glad you said that. I'm really glad you said that. But please
because,
continue. Please
to
continue.
be honest, I think personally, I think to change the dynamics of everything, it has to start in Africa. It's not in America. I think Africa is the only place, and the whole continent, of course, is the place that can change the shift. A lot of time people look over America, thinking America is the no Africa. If you look at China, China was able to change, get the people to be respectful by building China. So we have to build Africa in order for the rest of the African diasporas to be highly successful and respected around the world.
You're absolutely correct, but it's not Africa only. I'm glad you mentioned the diaspora. So it has to be all in all. Diaspora. So one of the advice that I always give my friends is not to focus only just on outside Africa. Do both. Because
Okay.
right now what I am doing is I am doing both. Because
Okay.
it's all about our people. I will even go a little bit farther. So let's put it this way. And you can check you can check me out on LinkedIn and my posting on, I have, so all you have to do is if you type in touch, math and science, tutoring, and I know it's pretty long. So you just type in touch, math and science. You will come across my website and my blogs. You can look at it. So part of what I do also is I write a posting. Lately, about a month ago, I focused about the importance of Africans in the diaspora connecting with Africans, the
Okay.
continent. One of my argument has been is that Africans in diaspora also have heritage, right? Just because you're outside is like the prodigal son, right? And Africans in the diaspora are not the prodigal son. We know that they were stolen, the ancestors were stolen and they were taken away, all right, against their will. We know that. But I have to use
Correct.
as an analogy. But by no means am I saying that Africans in the diaspora, the ancestors, like prodigal sons. No, they're not. Because a prodigal son
Correct.
left his father's home from free will. But the ancestors were African
Correct. Correct.
in the diaspora did not.
Absolutely.
But I want to make a point. The point is just because the prodigal son left his father's home, right, and his brother was there, does not mean that he does not have heritage or he's not
Correct.
entitled to his father's kingdom, right?
Correct.
He's still a prince, no matter
Correct.
what. So it's the same manner. So when you were talking earlier, I just wanted to make a point that, look, the Africans in the advantage for the Africans in the diaspora is the following. A lot of them are just look at you, you're well learned, you started a business, you're successful, and now you're giving back. So imagine if you're able to take your skills and talent to Africa, start doing the same thing and even starting a computer industry, let's say, which is something that we totally need. We need something like what do you call it, Microsoft, right? Company that is authentically African. But you have been in the computer, right, industry for a while. Imagine if you're able to take all that skills and start something. The know-how, you have the connection, right? Imagine how powerful that can be. You're in business, right, in Africa. You have one leg outside Africa, you have another leg in Africa. Imagine you have the best of both worlds. So that is one of the reasons why I said you have to operate with thinking of both sides.
Okay, that makes sense.
I don't know. I hope it does make sense.
No, it makes sense. When you put it that way, it makes sense.
And this is where you and I also eventually, I have another partner. Eventually, you're going to meet him. And now I'm trying to also collaborate with John, which I'm going to ask you. So I and John and the other partners, we're looking at starting something even a little bigger. So this podcast, it's something that is authentically something that I'm doing on my own but
Okay.
I'm collaborating also with other people on different projects. So my hope is eventually it will be great because I see that you are into computers, you're giving back. It'll be great along the way if we can also collaborate because that's some of the things that I eventually would like to do, providing resources.
Yeah, I'm glad you brought that. That's one thing I wanted to talk about before
Yes.
we leave is collaboration because my goal and even for this brand to reach new heights is one thing I'm doing is also get in contact with donors, right? Not for them to donate because I'm not looking donation. It's more like partnering as far as, let's say, for example, I don't know, like one of the donors is donating X amount of money to I'm trying to think. Let's say a sports team or a big school or something we're on STEM, right? Knowing that my brand is focusing on giving back 15% of our sales, right?
Yeah. You say 15%, I'm going 10%. We both have the same idea. Once I start making it, I said instead of giving my tithe to the church, I'll just give it to I'm serving God at the same time,
Correct.
right? Giving that
Correct.
percent of whatever I make. It's impressive that you're thinking in regards to that, but you're 5%, so I have to match you. Please continue, please.
Yeah. So working with these donors where they can say, they can like, because they're giving the money, they can say, hey, listen, I'm giving this money. At the same time, I would like for you to add the logo or add Favela Boys as a sponsor, because the more people see it, the more views, the more eyes on it, the more sales, which in return, the more we can give back, right? So partnership, hence to why I spoke to John this morning and he got me in contact with you, because I'm trying to get more collaboration and partnership as possible, because at the end of the day, I think everybody's going to benefit from it, right? So
Yes, absolutely. So, Pat, so it is great that you're thinking about that. So, with what I and John and the other partners are thinking is eventually this is the direction that we are going. We're thinking about doing something grand, starting this. I'm sure you've heard him talk about it. So the whole idea is to try to any way that we can. So eventually, but baby steps. We'll start with the podcast.
correct.
Let's focus on you first, and then because we need to build your brand, right? So my podcast is a free advertisement to you, right? Because it's even though I know I'm not Rogan now. Rogan is in a
Joe
different
Rogan.
Joe Rogan, right? Eventually, hopefully, I'll get there, but I have to start somewhere. I just started this last year, but I have to start somewhere. And I also have a mission. The mission that I have is not something that is now. If I'm into conspiracy and all those good stuff, maybe I'll get a lot of viewers. but let's start somewhere. You never know because
Correct.
God puts stuff in some people's heart, and people have to obey. So that's what He has put in my heart, and I am obeying and I'm putting it into practice. God put something in your heart, making T-shirts, right, and then also distributing computers to underserved community. So I want to get there too, just like you are. But we'll start with the podcast for you, and then
Correct.
and then we'll go from there. So I'm thinking about next week, sometimes, hopefully the middle of next week. I'll try to come.
Okay.
We can do maybe Tuesday, Wednesday in the evening. We can do the podcast. And then I'm thinking coming up with some synopsis. Since we're here, let's talk about so the things that you want to talk about. What will you like to talk about? Let's start with that. What will you like to talk about? About your business, what you're doing?
Correct. I would like to talk about how I got started. If you want to even go further, we can talk about different businesses I've created
Okay.
before I got to this business. We can talk about that. We can talk about where I come from, my
Okay.
journey from Haiti,
Okay.
not speaking any word of English, coming there at 12 years old, and
Hmm.
then eventually living in Brooklyn in the 90s, where the inner cities of Brooklyn, dealing with that, and then Queens, and then eventually moving to the suburbs of that experience, this culture experiences I'm witnessing throughout the whole process, right? And additional to that is going to school, going to college, career, and then eventually lending to what I'm doing now, which I enjoy to the point where I was able to create a business on the side, and traveling, how that traveling have helped me create this business model.
Okay. Okay. How long have you been in business, this model that you have?
This model, I would say 2 years.
2 years. Okay. Okay. So, and he's been profitable. He's been good.
We literally, it is so far so good, but we literally, so it's been 2 years. We changing the direction instead of, because when we do pop-up shops, we sell a lot, but it takes more. So now instead of like individual, we figure, hey, we can still do pop-up, but also tap in utilizing. So now we focus more on partnership and stuff like that, instead of just going out doing individual. Yes, profitable in that sense, not massively profitable. It could be if we have more people see what we do.
Okay.
If that makes sense.
Okay.
And from an individual side, it's successful. If I set a pop-up, I have everything, have this conversation, it's gonna sell.
Okay.
However, the goal is to work smarter, not harder.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Right. So when that's where partnership comes in, interacting with other people in a larger platform and connection and stuff like that. Now you, instead of taking your multiple pop-up shops to sell 100 teas, now you can sell 100 in one setting, right? Because more views, more people know what you do. That's where, because so we just now changing the direction.
Okay. And then in regards to, so the name of your company right now is called Battle Academy, right? Or Academy.
No, Battle Academy is something different. The name of the company is Favela Boys Apparel.
Okay. Okay. And your goal for that is, what are you trying to achieve regarding your goal?
My ultimate goal is to fund STEM education across the world.
Okay.
So pretty much, in other words, I want to have majority of the young inner city kids, whether it's in America or Nigeria or Jamaica or Haiti, to have STEM skill sets, right? Certification where it can change their life, right? So they learn how to code, cybersecurity, and all these other things, right? So they can actually, and also I can also add eSports in there, because those devices are mixed use, right? You code and then you can compete from an eSports standpoint as well, right? So I want them to I want kids to know these different opportunities they have available, and also the skill set they need in order for them to be successful. Because there's so many millions of different openings, roles, especially in cybersecurity, that are going unfulfilled.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right. So there's jobs out here.
Yeah.
But the thing is, they don't have the people with the skill set. If they get the training, they have the equipment to get the training, then we can change the whole economic structure that we have now.
So I have a question in regards to that. Is in the United States, we know that there are a lot of jobs unfilled in the United States, but other countries, they don't even have those infrastructures. They don't have the companies. So why worry? Why, number one, why worry about building their capacity if they don't have anything?
Here's the reason. The reason is majority of these jobs are remote. Another reason is in India, in America, America is sending out visas to a lot of native Indians in India, bring them here for the same skill sets. Right?
So you and I actually have something in common. I don't know if you've seen my post.
I did not.
On LinkedIn. When you have a chance, take a look.
I'll take a look.
There's a lot. I post a lot, but not like some of my colleagues. They post quite more than me, but I post enough, right? So one of the ones that I have written was the one that deals with low numbers of so we don't have enough workforce to address the low representation or low percentage of engineers, like engineers in terms of engineers dealing with artificial intelligence. Most of our graduate students, 2/3 of them, are from another country. So I'm making this argument. We've got rid of affirmative action, a program that actually could have helped continue to help to boost our numbers. So we're going after all these programs that could have helped underrepresented community. But a lot of these graduates from other countries, if their country is doing well, they will not stay in the United States. So we're training all of these people, but guess what? They leave, right, to another country. So that's one argument. I'm arguing that, okay, we need to boost our capacity here in the United States. The other thing that you and I have in common is I also am working towards a product. So one of the things that I said in my, so if I succeed in that product, which is the sauce, I'm working on making a sauce. If I succeed in making the sauce, and it is a really true bond company, 10% of my income, percent of that profit will be going towards a STEM initiative. That's what I actually believe in. But it's so interesting to hear you say that the company that you are building, right? You're going to take 15% of that. and, and actually, I've been talking to so many people. I've not heard anyone that I've talked the way like you and I have talked.
Yeah, I'll show you the website. I have the website. Let me see if I can. I'll text you the website in here.
Yeah, sure. This is
You can take a look
powerful.
at it.
This is powerful. So that is something that, we can also add onto this conversation. What you and I literally have, because people need to know, and that's the way our people need to think. You start a business, right? If you succeed in that business, right? Take percentage of that. And just like what LeBron James is doing, what did he do with part of his money? He decided to start a school in Akron, Ohio. You don't know
The
how
only, they said the
inspiration.
only thing with that school is I'm told recently studies came out. 8th graders cannot even read, cannot do math.
But guess what, though? Yeah, but guess what?
He
All
got
across United States of America, all across, if you look at the NAEP test, our numbers is low.
Oh yeah.
It is not. So I think one thing that we need to do is to be grateful that at least he built something.
He built it correct.
So
He built
because,
something.
and that is the way all of us in the Black community need to be thinking. Take a little bit of that money, stop waiting. Stop waiting for the government to do it for you. What can you do? What are you doing, Endrow? Like Endrow, if they take your model, or like Dr. Olufade, if they take my model, instead of us waiting for the government or somebody else to do something, invest a little bit in your community. And that
Yeah.
is part of what I'm trying to do. And I see that you're doing the same. So
Yeah.
that's
I text you the website in the chat. Yeah, yeah, that's pretty much what I'm doing. It's something I think that's my purpose in life. I'll be honest with you.
good.
It's something that
I like it.
I feel like it took years and it finally came together. And then I believe in that. And I know when more people sees it, because I see what it does when people in person, when people sees it, the sales and everything. I know that when more people view it, and when it's in front of more people, there's be more sales where I can fund more STEM, and we have more people in that.
This is really good. I'm looking.
That's how we change the world. Like a lot of time, I've been having this conversation a lot. A lot of time, people say the power is in. We have to make the difference, right? We can't wait for somebody else to do it. Government and everything. Government is people don't understand. Government don't create products. Government take taxes from companies. They're not the creator of things. They're the one that takes money
Wow. I
from
don't.
companies. That's what people don't realize. Government don't create. If you look at a like, they don't even make their own shirt, their own nothing. All the government does is tax companies or people. So we the one that create change. We the one who make the difference.
This is good. This is good stuff. So I'm looking at your website. I don't know if you can see it or not, but this is really good stuff.
Yes, I can see it.
So yeah,
And then when you scroll down, you can see tells you more everything.
yeah, I
So
can see that. I saw that your mission, 15% of net profit. This is contribute to STEM Center. This is really good. This is really good. When did you build this website, man? When did you?
this build website was built, I say 2 years ago.
Wow.
Is it 2 years? Or maybe, yeah, maybe a year and a half ago.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
This is good. And people really buy this, right?
Yeah.
Oh, this is really good. So how did you get the models to, these are models, I take it, or are these your
Yeah,
friends?
there's your temple students.
Oh, wow.
So what I did was, since I went to Temple, I contacted Temple, and then I met some people. They believed in the mission, and they brought their friends, and we got this done.
Wow, this is good. Maybe that's what I
And
need to do with my sauce. I need to hook up with you, man. This is this is
and then the cool thing is when you click on any of those,
right.
it tells you specifically the organization.
Okay.
It tells you the organization we sent it to and stuff. So,
Wow, this is really cool. I like that. This is oh wow.
and then when you go to the mission, it tells you if you go to a mission on the right, it kind of tells you a little bit more. If you go down, you click on a mission, it tells you.
Okay. Wow, this is really awesome. I like it. I like it. Mission, our mission. Okay, read more. This is awesome. This is good. I like the website too. It's the target, the audience I can see.
Correct.
These are the Gen Z. These are definitely people. So man, yeah, you really choose very well. That's good. So good. So do me a favor, if you can subscribe, if you can support, you can tell other people about what I'm doing. And by the way, it is good for you too. If
Good.
they subscribe to my channel, if they subscribe to that episode, I'll say my channel, it is good for you. I'm also looking for supporters, people that can not only, because it costs me money to trust me, and I'm not getting any money from anywhere at this point.
Correct.
To make this episode, to make this video podcast, it costs me money. Even the article, the post that I write, it costs me money. Any support that I can get from people, I think we both can agree that we have the same goal, and the goal is getting our people more represented in this arena. So that is what our goal is. I think if we work collectively or strategically, I think we can do that. But first thing first, let's get you started as it pertains to getting your word out there, what you do. So I'll do my part, and then we'll see where that goes from there. And then I think as time goes on, there's going to be more opportunities for all of us to collaborate as it pertains to Africa, and I think that's the key. If we are able to collaborate with people in Africa and the Caribbean, right, all the diaspora places, I think we can start actually making a small impact. Let's do our part, one step at a time. But let's start with the podcast first, and then go from there. All right. Thank you so much. I will send you a synopsis by the end of the week, and then you can take a look at it. If you want to add to the synopsis, you can add. If you want to withdraw, take some out, you can do that. And I also put, in addition to that, the MOUs, so you can send both document back to me, and then you can plan for Tuesdays or Wednesday for the podcast. Okay, man?
And is this podcast, what do you call it, visual assistant on YouTube? Is it a visual podcast, or is it more like audio?
Very good. So my YouTube, what I post on YouTube is, I've already sent you a link.
Correct. So I'm looking at it right now.
It is visual for the YouTube. It is visual for LinkedIn. It is visual too on my website. It is visual, but on Spotify, it's audio.
Okay.
So depending on Buzzsprout, all right, that is where I really majorly, those are my carriers. Plus, everybody has to have a podcast station if you're doing podcasts. So they're the one that carry my stuff. So it is audio, but I like doing both medium, right? Because I'm a teacher. I do understand there are different modalities of learning. Some people like visual, some people just like audio, right? So I provide both medium for everyone. So that's how I go. That's how I roll. Did I answer your question?
Yeah, you answered my question.
Okay. All right, man. Have a great weekend. You take good care. It's a pleasure.
You too. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Take care.
All right.
Bye-bye.
You too. Bye-bye.